in the Workbook of A Course in Miracles, God is the strength in which I trust. The central point of this lesson is that you are entitled to, it is your right, to perfect peace, joy, and love in every situation and every circumstance. It's it's a right in the sense that you're entitled to it. It's like the Course's Bill of Rights. It's written into the Constitution. It's the difference between uh, a trust fund and earning wealth. If you One way to get wealth is to work for it very hard and acquire it. But if you have a trust fund, then you just it's just yours. And so the peace that you're entitled to and the confidence that you're entitled to isn't about earning per se. It's what you're entitled to. It's your very, very right to have this peace. And so today's idea can bring that peace about. So, lesson begins. If you're trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come of it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? All right, so this is just making a logical point that if we look at ourselves honestly, it's pretty clear that we have no ability to predict or control anything. We're limited by space, we're limited by time, we're limited by our own experiences, and from those, there's nothing that could guarantee that we would understand and know what to do in every situation. So it's just making a logical point about the limitations of ourselves as we see ourselves now. So it should be obvious. Of yourself, you could do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Yet who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? All right, so the one idea to remember in the Course is that from God's perspective, all situations um, can turn out that it's meant to be for all good and for all good for all time for everyone. And since that's what the real reality of it is, and that comes from God, then that helps us recognize that we ourselves alone could never accomplish this. Okay. God is your safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and his protection. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions, and the voice which speaks for him thinks as he does. So think about that for a minute, that there are no exceptions. So there's like all situations in every aspect of all situations. So this peace that we're entitled to, this strength that we're entitled to, is there in every way, in every possible situation. And therefore, he's saying, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and protection. Okay, so that's the claim. It's there for us to use in everything. There are no exceptions. Now, notice that one of the points of the lessons that we've been doing previous to this, when we would look around and apply the idea for the day, the lesson of the day, that it told us to be indiscriminate in that application. Don't make exceptions to any, like the lesson, God is in everything I see, God is in this elbow, God is in this chair. That's the real point of training the mind not to make exceptions, because there's no exceptions that exist where this strength is not available to us, where God is not available to us. God's everywhere, every place, all time. So that gives us the strength to to know that we can call upon God in every circumstance, and that it will work. Okay. So today we will try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. That's what we've been doing in these lessons, is leaving this super surface sense of self and perceptions and diving deep inside ourselves to find this source. So that's what we're doing today, and it's this source where the strength is. So 4 or 5 minutes practices are necessary today, and longer and more frequent ones are urged. Close your eyes and begin as usual by repeating the idea for the day, and then spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life which you've invested with fear, dismissing each one by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. So this should be no problem finding situations where there's anxiety or fear or concern. So we take each one of those. Like for me today, it was in this situation, my concern about money. In that situation, God is the strength in which I trust. So whatever it is, without exception, if it's got fear associated with it, that's what we use in this lesson, and we apply to each one this idea: God is the strength in which I trust. And then, having done that, we try and find this place inside of us, which is our source, and it's the source of strength. So now try to slip past all concern related to your own sense of inadequacy. It's obvious that any situation that causes you concern is associated with feelings of inadequacy, for otherwise you would believe you could deal with the situation successfully. It's not by trusting yourself that you'll gain confidence, but the strength of God in you is successful in all things. All right, so that's very hopeful. That's very encouraging. So he goes on to say the recognition of your frailty is a necessary step in the correction of your errors, but it's hardly sufficient one in giving you the confidence which you need and to which you are entitled to. You must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect in all circumstances. So this is the two-step of letting go and letting God. So just recognizing our limitations and awareness of those limitations is not enough. We need real experiences in every situation that will convince us that this strength is in us. We begin this with faith, to try it, to try and learn it, but experience has to come to supplement that. We've got to feel this deep inside of ourselves. We have to see it in everything in our life. So, and we deserve that confidence. Okay. So, in the latter phase of the practice period, try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety, and you will recognize you've reached it if you feel a sense of deep peace, however briefly. Let go all the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind. Reach down and below to them, to the kingdom of heaven. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. There's a place in you where the strength of God abides. All right, so that's the longer practice period. After we've dismissed our concern in any specific thing by saying God is our strength in that situation, then we spend the time trying to be in this place of the mind where that peace and strength exists, where that source of all the peace and strength is, where God is, where heaven is inside of us. All right, so that's the longer practice period. And then during the day, repeat the idea often. So as often as we can, we want to remind ourselves that God is the strength in which I trust. And then also use it as an answer to any disturbance. The specific situations will come up. We'll be upset. We'll have fear, anxiety about the outcome. That's the moment that we can practice. Right then we can say in those situations when we're upset, God is the strength in which I trust. So that can give us peace right in that moment, even when those things are going on. All right, remember that peace is your right because you are and you are giving your trust to the strength of God. All right, that's it for today. Thank you.